Are you the duck that runs the gospel mill next door?
I am the... Pardon me? I believe I do not understand.
Why, you see, we are in a bit of trouble, and the boys thought maybe you would give us a lift if we'd tackle you. That is, if I've got the rights of it, and you are the head clerk of the doxology works next door.
I am the shepherd in charge of the flock whose fold is next door.
The which?
The spiritual advisor of the little company of believers whose sanctuary adjoins these premises.
You rather hold over me, pard. I reckon I can't call that hand. Annie and pass the buck.
How? I beg pardon. What did I understand you to say?
Well, you rather got the bulge on me, or maybe we both got the bulge somehow. You don't smoke me, and I don't smoke you. You see, one of the boys has passed in his checks, and we want to give him a good send-off, and so the thing I'm on now is to roust out somebody to jerk a little chin music for us and waltz him through handsome.
My friend, I seem to grow more and more bewildered. Your observations are wholly incomprehensible to me. Cannot you simplify them in some way? At first, I thought perhaps I understood you, but I grope now. Would it not expedite matters if you restricted yourself to categorical statements of fact, unencumbered with obstructing accumulations of metaphor and allegory?
I'll have to pass, I judge.
How?
You've raised me out, pard.
I still fail to catch your meaning.
Why, that last lead of yourn is too many for me, that's the idea. I can't neither trump nor follow suit. I've got it now so's you can savvy. What we want is a gospel sharp, see?
A what?
Gospel sharp. Parson.
Oh, why did you not say so before? I am a clergyman, a parson.
Now you talk. You see my blind and straddle it like a man. Put it there. Now we're all right, pard. Let's start fresh. Don't you mind my snuffling a little, because we're in a power of trouble. You see, one of the boys has gone up the flume.
Gone where?
Up the flume. Throwed up the sponge. You understand.
Ah, has departed to that mysterious country from whose bourne no traveler returns.
Return? I reckon not. Why, pard, he's dead.
Yes, I understand.
Oh, you do? Well, I thought maybe you might be getting tangled some more. Yes, you see, he's dead again.
Again? Why? Has he ever been dead before?
Dead before? No. Do you reckon a man has got as many lives as a cat? But you bet you he's awful dead now, poor old boy, and I wish I'd never seen this day. I don't want no better friend than Buck Fanshaw. I knowed him by the back, and when I know a man and like him, I freeze to him. You hear me. Take him all around, pard, there never was a bullier man in the mines. No man ever knowed Buck Fanshaw to go back on a friend. But it's all up, you know. It's all up. It ain't no use. They've scooped him.
Scooped him?
Yes, death has. Well, we've got to give him up. Yes, indeed. It's a kind of a hard world after all, ain't it? But, pard, he was a rustler. You ought to seen him get started once. He was a bully boy with a glass eye. Just spit in his face and give him room according to his strength, and it was just beautiful to see him peel and go in. He was the worst son of a thief that ever drawed breath, pard. He was on it. He was on it bigger than an engine.
On it? On what?
On the shoot, on the shoulder, on the fight, you understand. He didn't give a continental for anybody. Beg your pardon, friend, for coming so near cussin', but you see I'm not an awful strain in this palaver on account of having to cramp down and draw everything so mild. But we've got to give him up. There ain't any getting around that, I don't reckon. Now, if we can get you to help plan him...
Preach the funeral discourse? Assist at the obsequies?
Obsequies is good. Yes, that's it. That's our little game. We are going to get the thing up regardless, you know. He was always nifty himself, and so you bet his funeral ain't going to be no slouch. Solid silver door plate on his coffin, 6 plumes on the hearse, and a nigger on the box in a biled shirt and a plug hat. How's that for high? And we'll take care of you, pard. We'll fix you all right. There'll be a carriage for you, and whatever you want, you just scape it out and we'll tend to it. We've got a shebang fixed up for you to stand behind in number 1's house, and don't you be afraid. Just go in and toot your horn if you don't sell a clam. Put Buck through as a bully as you can, pard, for anybody that knowed him will tell you that he was one of the whitest men that ever in the mines. You can't draw it too strong. He never could stand to see things going wrong. He's done more to make this town quiet and peaceable than any man in it. I've seen him lick 4 greasers in 11 minutes myself. If a thing wanted regulating, he warn't a man to go browsing around after somebody to do it, but he would prance in and regulate it himself. He warn't a Catholic, scarcely. He was down on 'em. His word was, no Irish need apply. But it didn't make no difference about that when it came down to what a man's rights was. And so when some roughs jumped the Catholic boneyard and started in to stake out town lots, he went for 'em. And he cleaned 'em, too. I was there, pard, and I seen it myself.
That was very well indeed. At least the impulse was, whether the act was strictly defensible or not. Had the deceased any religious convictions? That is to say, did he feel a dependence upon or acknowledge allegiance to a higher power?
I reckon you stumped me again, pard. Could you say it over once more and say it slow?
Well, to simplify it somewhat, was he, or rather, had he ever been connected with any organization, sequestered from secular concerns, and devoted to self-sacrifice in the interests of morality?
All down but 9. Set 'em up on the other alley, pard.
What did I understand you to say?
Why, you're most too many for me, you know. When you get in with your left, I hunt grass every time. Every time you draw, you fill. But I don't seem to have any luck. Let's have a new deal.
How? Begin again?
That's it.
Very well. Was he a good man and,
There, I see that. Don't put up another chip till I look at my hand. A good man, says you? Pard, it ain't no name for it. He was the best man that ever... Pard, you would have doted on that man. He could lamb any galoot of his inches in America. It was him that put down the riot last election before it got a start, and everybody said he was the only man that could have done it. He waltzed in with a spanner in one hand and a trumpet in the other, and sent 14 men home on a shutter in less than 3 minutes. He had that riot all broke up and prevented nice before anybody ever got a chance to strike a blow. He was always for peace, and he would have peace. He could not stand disturbances. Pard, he was a great loss to this town. It would please the boys if you could chip in something like that and do him justice. Here once when the Micks got to throwing stones through the Methodist Sunday school windows, Buck Fanshaw, all of his own notion, shut up his saloon and took a couple of 6-shooters and mounted guard over that Sunday school. Says he, no Irish need apply, and they didn't. He was the bulliest man in the mountains, pard. He could run faster, jump higher, hit harder, and hold more Tanglefoot whiskey without spilling it than any man in 17 counties. Put that in, pard. It'll please the boys more than anything you could say. And you can say, pard, that he never shook his mother.
Never shook his mother?
That's it. Any of the boys will tell you so.
Well, but why should he shake his mother?
That's what I say, but some people does.
Not people of any repute.
Well, some that averages pretty so-so.
In my opinion, the man that would offer personal violence to his own mother ought to...
Cheese it, pard. You banked your ball clean outside the string. What I was a-driving at was that he never throwed off on his mother. Don't you see? No, indeedy. He give her a house to live in and town lots and plenty of money. And he looked after her and took care of her all the time. And when she was out with the smallpox, I'm damned if he didn't set up nights and nurse her himself. Beg your pardon for saying it, but it hopped out too quickly for yours truly. You've treated me like a gentleman, pard, and I ain't the man to hurt your feelings intentional. I think you're white. I think you're a square man, pard. I like you, and I'll lick any man that don't. I'll lick him till he can't tell himself for the last year's corpse. Put it there.